Okay, so have you ever gotten a cut, like a little one you don't even think twice about?
Yeah, of course.
Well, imagine you're outside doing some yard work, trimming back a rose bush or something, and you nick yourself on a rusty nail.
Oh, yeah.
It stings, sure, but then you just kind of forget about it.
Right.
But did you know that under your skin, right at that spot where you got poked, there's this huge battle happening, like on a microscopic level?
It's crazy to think about. We're talking about the immune system, right?
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today. And to help us visualize all this action, we're going to be referencing this video that does a great job of showing us how it all works.
Yeah, this video is really cool. It uses these great visuals to really break down this complex world that's going on inside us all the time.
So like I was saying, we're starting with this cut. It seems harmless enough on the surface, but
But it's actually a major breach in your defenses. You see, your skin is that first line of defense, keeping all those nasty germs out.
and so even a tiny cut, like from that nail, it gives bacteria a way in.
Right. Any little break in the skin, and suddenly they have an opportunity.
And I guess once they're in, they start multiplying like crazy, don't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Some bacteria can actually double their numbers every 20 minutes.
Wow.
So what starts as a few little bacteria can become a massive invasion in no time if your immune system isn't on top of things.
So who's the first to respond, like the first one on the scene when these bacteria invade?
Well, the first responders are the macrophages.
Macrophages.
Yeah, they're like the security guards of your body, constantly patrolling, looking for anything suspicious.
Oh, there are a lot of them?
Oh, tons of them. And they're super efficient. One macrophage can engulf and destroy up to 100 bacteria.
No way. That's incredible. But how do they actually do that?
It's called phagocytosis.
Phagocytosis.
Yeah, the macrophage basically surrounds the bacteria, engulfs it completely, and then it breaks it down using special enzymes.
So it's kind of like a microscopic garbage disposal, huh?
Perfect analogy.
So what about when you get a cut and it gets all red and swollen? That's inflammation, right? Is that the macrophages doing that too?
Yeah, inflammation is actually a good thing.
Right.
It means your immune system is responding to the injury. The macrophages, they send out these signals
Yeah.
that cause the blood vessels to get bigger so more blood flows to the area.
Okay, so that's what causes the swelling.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like sending in reinforcements.
Exactly. More blood flow means more immune cells can reach the area, and it also brings in nutrients and oxygen to help repair the tissue.
It's a whole coordinated effort to fight off the invaders and start the healing process. So the macrophages are like that first wave of defense. But what happens if it's a really big invasion and they need backup?
Well, that's when the neutrophils arrive.
Neutrophils.
Think of them as the heavy artillery of your immune system.
Heavy artillery, wow. And I remember this video saying that neutrophils are really intense. Like they can even damage healthy cells in their fight.
Yeah, they're super powerful. They release these toxic substances that kill bacteria, but they can also harm nearby healthy cells in the process.
Wow. So they're not afraid to get a little messy.
Right, you could say that. It's kind of like a scorched earth tactic. But here's the really interesting part. Neutrophils actually have a built-in self-destruct mechanism.
What?
Yeah, after about 5 days, they undergo programmed cell death.
So they essentially self-destruct.
Exactly. It prevents them from causing too much damage to healthy tissue.
That is so cool. It's like they have this suicide switch to prevent things from getting out of control. I've never heard that before. I love this video.
It's one of those details that you don't hear every day, but it shows you just how complex this system is. It's not just attack, attack, attack. There's all these checks and balances to make sure the response is controlled.
So it's about a balanced response, not just going overboard and causing more harm than good.
Right. And the neutrophils self-destructing, that's a crucial part of that balance.
Okay, so we've got the macrophages munching on bacteria, and then the neutrophils come in with their scorched earth tactics. But how does the body know what kind of defenses to send? Like, how does it know if it's bacteria, a virus, something else?
That's where the dendritic cells come in.
Dendritic cells, okay.
Think of them as the intelligence officers of the immune system.
Okay, so they're like the detectives.
Yeah, they're constantly sampling the environment, taking little bites out of anything they encounter, and then analyzing those samples.
Like gathering evidence.
Exactly.
Oh,
And once they figure out what the threat is, they break it down into little pieces and display those pieces on their surface, like a wanted poster.
so they're showing the rest of the immune system, hey, this is the bad guy.
Exactly. And then, here's the cool part, they travel to the lymph nodes.
Lymph nodes.
Yeah, you know those things that swell up when you're sick?
Oh, yeah, I know those.
Well, inside those lymph nodes are billions of T cells.
T cells.
Yeah, they're just waiting for their marching orders.
So the dendritic cells are like bringing the intel to the T cells in the lymph nodes.
Right. And here's the thing. It's not just any T cell that will do. It has to be a T cell with a receptor that perfectly matches the wanted poster that the dendritic cell is presenting.
Like a lock and key.
Exactly. And when that perfect match is made, boom, that T cell gets activated. And then it starts multiplying, creating a whole army of clones to fight that specific threat.
Wow. So it's like a microscopic special forces unit getting deployed.
That's a great way to put it. And those T cells are pretty amazing in their own right. They're different types, each with their own special skills. So those different types of T cells, that's what I wanted to talk about next.
Okay, yeah, let's dig into that.
Because it's really key to understanding how this whole immune response works.
So we left off with those T cells hanging out in the lymph nodes, waiting for their marching orders.
Right, and like we said, it's got to be the right T cell, the one that perfectly matches that wanted poster from the dendritic cell.
Yeah, like a lock and key.
Exactly. So what happens once a T cell gets activated? Well, some of them, they become these helper P cells.
Helper T cells.
They're like the generals of the immune army.
Generals.
Yeah, they coordinate the whole immune response. They release signals that tell other immune cells what to do.
Okay, so like what kind of cells are we talking about?
Well, like B cells, for example.
B cells. Oh, right. Those are the ones that make antibodies.
You got it. And the helper T cells, they tell those B cells to start pumping out those antibodies.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. The dendritic cells activate the T cells activate the B cells, and the B cells make antibodies.
That's so cool. It's like this amazing coordinated effort all happening at a microscopic level.
It's incredible. But wait, there's more.
Always more. What else is going on?
Well, we've got these helper T cells, but there's another type of T cell that's super important too. The cytotoxic T cells.
Cytotoxic.
Yeah, they're sometimes called killer T cells.
Oh, wow. That sounds intense.
They are. They're the ones that directly attack infected cells.
So like if the helper T cells are coordinating the attack, the cytotoxic T cells are the ones on the front lines actually doing the fighting.
Exactly. They're like the special forces trained to seek and destroy.
And how do they know which cells to attack? Like, how do they distinguish between a healthy cell and an infected one?
Well, it goes back to those antigens. Remember those protein fragments we talked about?
Yeah, like the ID cards for each cell.
Right. So when a cell gets infected, like by a virus, let's say, it starts displaying viral antigens along with its own antigens.
So it's like the cell is waving a flag saying, hey, I'm infected, come get me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. And the cytotoxic T cells, they have receptors that can recognize those viral antigens.
So they're like, oh, you're infected, time to take you out.
Exactly. They release these toxic substances that basically destroy the infected cell.
That's pretty hardcore. It's like a microscopic suicide mission.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. But it's necessary to prevent the infection from spread.
Makes sense. So we've got helper T cells directing traffic, cytotoxic T cells taking out the bad guys, and B cells making antibodies. What about those antibodies? What do they actually do?
Well, they're like guided missiles, specifically designed to target the invader.
So in this case, they're going after those bacteria that got in through that cut on your finger.
Right. And they can actually do a few different things. They can neutralize the bacteria.
Right.
Basically preventing them from doing any more harm.
Okay, so like disarming them.
Yeah, and they can also act like little flags, tagging the bacteria so other immune cells can come and destroy them.
So it's a team effort. The antibodies are like the spotters, marking the targets, and then the other immune cells come in for the kill.
Exactly. It's amazing how all these different cells work together to fight off infection.
It really is. So what happens after the battle's won? Like, what happens to all those immune cells?
Well, most of them actually die off.
Munches.
They just die. After all that hard work. Yeah, it might seem kind of sad, but it's actually important for keeping things in check. If all those immune cells just kept hanging around, they could end up attacking healthy tissue.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like demobilizing the troops after the war is over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, it frees up resources so your body can focus on other things.
But what about the next time you encounter those same bacteria? Do you have to go through that whole battle again?
That's where memory cells come in.
Memory cells. Oh, right. I remember we talked about those earlier. So those are the ones that remember the enemy and can mount a faster response next time.
Exactly. So the next time you encounter that same bacteria, your memory cells are ready to go, and they can quickly mobilize the troops to fight it off.
That's incredible. So that's how we develop immunity to certain diseases.
That's a big part of it. And it's also how vaccines work. Vaccines basically introduce a harmless version of the pathogen to your body.
So your immune system can learn how to fight it off without actually getting sick.
Exactly. It's a brilliant way to train your immune system and provide long-lasting protection.
This is blowing my mind. I had no idea how complex and sophisticated this system is. It makes you realize how important it is to take care of your immune system.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
there's so much more to learn about it. But even with what we know so far, it's clear that this microscopic army is a powerful force, and it's working hard to keep us healthy every single day.
So how can we support it? We talked about diet and exercise and sleep, but is there anything else we can do?
Well, there's one more thing that's super important that we haven't talked about yet, and that's stress management.
Stress management. How does that tie into immunity? Okay, so stress management. I know stress is bad for you in general, but how does it actually affect the immune system?
But when you're stressed out, your body releases this hormone called cortisol.
Cortisol.
Yeah. And cortisol, it can actually suppress your immune function.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's like it puts your immune system on hold when it needs to be ready for action.
So basically, stress is like telling your immune cells to chill out when they should be on high alert.
That's a great way to put it. It's like telling your army to stand down when they're about to go into battle.
Oh, that's not good. So finding healthy ways to manage stress, like meditation or exercise or spending time in nature, that can actually help boost your immunity.
Exactly. When you manage stress, you lower your cortisol levels, and that gives your immune system a chance to do its job.
It's amazing how interconnected everything is, Like our mental and emotional state, it actually has a physical impact on our immune system.
It really does. And there's another fascinating connection between our minds and our immunity.
What's that?
Well, do you ever notice how when you're happy and feeling good, you just seem to get sick less often?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that.
Well, there's actually research that shows positive emotions like joy and gratitude and love, they can actually boost our immune response.
Really? So, like, just feeling happy can make your immune system stronger.
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. Positive emotions trigger the release of endorphins and other beneficial chemicals that actually have a positive effect on our immune cells.
Wow. So it's not just about managing stress. It's about actively cultivating positive emotions too.
Exactly. It's all about creating a state of overall well-being in your mind and body. And that's what really supports a healthy immune system.
It's like everything we've been talking about, it all comes back to that holistic approach to health.
It really does. And it's empowering, don't you think? Knowing that we have so much control over our own health.
Absolutely. It's not just about luck or genetics. We can make choices every day that support our immune system and our overall well-being.
So what have we learned today? Well, we've explored this incredible microscopic world inside each of us. We've seen how the immune system works to protect us from all these unseen threats.
We've learned about those amazing macrophages and neutrophils and T cells and B cells all working together like this well-oiled machine.
And we've seen how our lifestyle choices, things like diet and exercise and sleep and stress management, and even our outlook on life, they can all impact our immune health.
It's been an incredible journey of discovery, and I hope our listeners feel as inspired as I do to take charge of their health and support their amazing immune system.
Me too. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you today.
Likewise. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the immune system. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.